nice advice for your writing career. To be clear, no punches will be pulled, but the punch may be spiked. How they like before they get on the mic. To my left, we got the mighty Mer Lafferty. And if I piss her off, believe me, she'll come after me. And her co-host, Matt Evan Wallace, on the right. Yes, she may be half as hype as she can take him in a fight. So settle in, folks, buckle in and boot up. Time to meddle in a way to make your writer shut up. It's hard work, but the perk is that it's fun and exciting. Facebook will still be there when you're done writing. Ditch Diggers! Ditch Diggers!
Coming to you live from Morgan Freeman's Tobias Funke Memorial Sobbing Shower. It is the Ditch Diggers with Mer Lafferty and Matt Wallace. Hugo losers are awesome.
Yeah, we are the post-Worldcon, post-Hugo Ditch Diggers.
That's right.
We've been the post-Worldcon Ditch Diggers before, but we've never been the post-Hugo ceremony Ditch Diggers. Yeah, we are. We are Hugo losers, and I'm actually fine with that.
You know, I thought I'd be upset, and I am not. Congratulations to Emma and Pete Newen for Tea and Jeopardy, their win, and they have a really good show. I definitely don't begrudge them any of that. But
I'm not going to go that far. I absolutely begrudge them.
Okay,
but
that's cool. That's your prerogative.
I'm totally kidding. They're fantastic people. They do a fantastic show. I knew if we didn't win, they were going to win. I knew that. So yeah. It wasn't a huge surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But afterwards, and I'm really sorry you weren't there, dude, but afterwards they threw the Hugo Losers party, and it was actually a place I was proud to be a loser.
Nice.
The winners were all mocked. They had to wear really silly hats to put them aside from the rest of us. I get to be in the loser club with Cameron Hurley and the guys from Clipping and Fran Wild, and we got a good group of losers here. I'm proud to be part of it.
No, that is actually well stated and well observed. You are when you have lost to Hugo, you are in like amazing Hall of Fame company, because the best of the best of the best have all lost Hugos, because there can only be one winner in each category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to sit down with George and demand my Hugo Losers ribbon.
You did. That picture got me so much cred over here.
Oh, awesome.
Because you tweeted, we got robbed, and then you tweeted George R. R. Martin has a message for you, and then I'm describing this to the listeners because they didn't see it. Or maybe they did, I don't know. But you tweeted that at me, and with the picture of you and George R. R. Martin, he's holding up the Hugo Loser ribbon. So, yeah, I went to a housewarming for my cousins, and they were like telling that story to everybody, and everybody was so impressed.
That's awesome.
It's one of those things where, like, it makes people think, is he famous? Is he a famous person I don't know? It was fun. But yeah, you look like you were having a blast. That was actually what I was happiest about, because I wasn't there. I wasn't in Helsinki, so we didn't get a chance to talk. And you never know how you're going to react to these things.
Yeah.
So, but you look like you were having a great time, and that was what made me the happiest about the whole thing.
I really did have a great time. Alistair and Marguerite were fake Matt Wallace, and they were...
They were my proxy. I gave Alistair Stewart and Marguerite Kenner, who... Again, this is me explaining to the listeners.
I know, dude. I know.
I know. It feels weird because I'm talking to you, but I'm telling you shit that you already know. I feel like I'm writing a really bad exposition scene that I should be criticized for. But no, I gave Alice Stewart and Margaret Kenner, who own and operate Escape Artists, who do all the fiction podcasts, and Mothership Zeta, which you edit, the magazine. I gave them I made them my Hugo proxies. So they got to go to all the parties and the events and the ceremony. And Al was going to go up with you if you won and do my part of the acceptance speech. And he was me at Ditch Diggers Live, which is a whole other thing we could talk about. But yeah, so they were my de facto Worldcon proxy, and they were so appreciative of the fact that I had given that stuff to them. Marguerite basically sent me pictures of like every moment of Worldcon. It was just an unending stream of DMs over the weekend. So I actually feel like I was kind of there, even though I wasn't.
And I felt bad that I wasn't, but I was kind of distracted.
No, you were representing. You were doing your thing. That's fine.
But she was great and on the ball. And then Mary Robinette Kowal wandered by, and she has advice for every single thing that happens to a pro writer. It's like, I'm serious, dude. She's got her blog series, just talks about the things that debut writers come up against, and there's no advice for it. She's even got a blog post about how to be guest of honor, which is great, because when I was guest of honor the first time, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what was expected of me. Nobody holds your hand through all that. But Mary Robinette Kowal does. And so she wandered by, and I'm just like, all right, Mary Robinette, I'm freaking out. Tell me how not to freak out about the Hugos. And she's like, okay, if you don't win a Hugo, you will be exactly the same tomorrow as you are right now. You'll lose nothing. Nothing is taken away from you. And I'm like, that's true. That's true. The status quo remains. It's not like anything goes down. If I won the Hugo, things would go up. But as it is, things are the same. Except I have a nomination, and that's awesome.
Yeah, we get pins.
Yeah. And then I found out that she was in the middle of suffering from food poisoning.
Aww.
I know. And she took the time to stop and give me advice, like between bouts of hell.
I mean, you didn't really give her a choice, but yeah, that was.
She just could say, I have to go to the bathroom now. I'm going to vomit.
I'm totally screwing with you. No, she's the reason I laughed when you said she has advice is not because that is in any way funny or unexpected. I've only met her once. I met her once for like 5 minutes. Howard Taylor introduced us, but within that 5 minute span, she just like dropped all kinds of wisdom casually.
Yeah, she's
not
amazing.
even trying. She is. She's like a sage, you know.
She is.
But it's very natural, and there's like nothing pretentious or preachy about it. She's just like, you know, I've been around and I've seen things, and yeah. So no, she's fantastic in all ways, and also just amazingly talented at so many things. It's ridiculous. She does puppets. I love puppets.
Yeah, my new goal is next year at San Jose to get Mary Robinette Kowal, Grant Pacheco of podcasting fame and MST3K and the adult Jim Henson Puppet Up series, and Christina, I can't remember her last name. She's the wife of Jonathan from Clipping. She's a puppeteer. So I think if I can get the three of them to do something puppety at Worldcon next year, that would be awesome. And I'd get to see Grant and Christina again, which is totally just selfish on my part.
That's Dr. Floyd Grant. Is that the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we go back a long way with that dude. Well, you do. I don't really know him, but
yeah, Grant and I go back 2006, I think.
Yeah, which was 11 years ago, Mer.
I know.
11 fucking years ago.
I know.
What is happening? What is happening? Oh, God, I'm depressed now.
My kid's in high school, dude.
That's insane.
I know.
That is insanity. That doesn't make any sense. She was like 4 yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry they were sick. Were they sick during the con, or was it like after?
Yeah, she got sick in Iceland on like our second to last day, and then Jim got it sometime the first couple of days of Helsinki.
So was he sick at the Hugos?
Yeah, well, I mean, he wasn't feeling well, and he was sleeping most of the day.
That's just trippy because Marguerite sent me the most amazing picture of him at the ceremony. It was like a candid shot. It was you all sitting in a row, but Jim's kind of leaning forward, and he's like almost looking to the sky with this earnest expression on his face. And it just made me think, like, there should be a statue of Jim, and it should look like that. Like in front of a building, like a hopeful, you know, like this is the guy that, you know, came up with the idea that fixed everything.
Yeah.
So it's trippy to learn that he was ill when he was making that incredibly, it was a great profile. Hell of a profile on that guy. I'll just say it.
I need to see that picture, I think.
I'll send it to you. It's a really good picture. I was like, yeah.
Awesome. So we're getting a little off topic. Sorry about that. But the Hugos were awesome. Ursula Vernon won her category, which I said made her fucking fail our pact to lose together. But she got
Yeah,
to,
Ursula sucks at failing.
She does. She's really bad at it. It's embarrassing to be her friend, man.
It's like no matter what she does, it's just insanely successful and popular. It's because I can't believe it.
Yeah. So she got to go up and do her whale fall speech, which was awesome.
That was epic. I was following. I don't know if they got the live feed to work.
I heard the live feed was messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get it to work, so I was watching the transcription for the hearing impaired. So I was just I got to watch her whale fall speech come up in text like on a prompter, which it somehow made it even better, I think, than hearing it live.
I bet.
Yeah. So that was But if you're unfamiliar with what we're talking about, for her acceptance speech, instead of accepting the award, Ursula explained the concept of whale fall and what that means. And if you're curious, go look it up. It's definitely worth it. She said nothing about the award at all.
I think she thanked her editor and her husband at the very end.
She did at the very end, and specifically mentioned, what does this have to do with, science fiction and fantasy? Nothing! And then that was it. So Ursula
it was her opportunity to be able to talk about whale fall in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, that's
why she did it.
And it was brilliant, and much like Ursula herself. So that was worth the price of admission all by itself.
Yeah, it was great. We got together one afternoon, did girly things at a spa, got facials, and then we went to a bar, got drunk, and wrote our acceptance speeches. So Ursula's sitting next to me writing about whale fall, and I'm wondering what went wrong in my life that I couldn't even come up with anything comparable to that. Not that they would never be compared, because we weren't. Yeah. The odds of both of us winning seemed to be very high, but I still felt lacking.
I mean, Ursula's just one of those people that does that. Like, your mind will never work the way hers does. Also, it's not even so much that. No one can have her unabashed and genuine enthusiasm for, like, naturalism and horticulture and all those things. Like, she lives and breathes that stuff. Yeah. So,
if you want to watch your blood pressure go through the roof, ask her about potatoes. Yeah.
So yeah, Ursula 1 is the bullet point of that.
Yes.
A lot of good people won. Amal won, my ancient sibling.
Yes.
Very happy about that, who we had on Ditch Diggers Live.
Yeah, let's talk about Ditch Diggers Live.
Yeah, Ditch Diggers Live, which again I was not there for, so I really have nothing to say about it.
Okay.
But even though I was not there, I was there.
You were there. You were stoic and British, actually.
Which I am not often either of those things. I am neither stoic nor British. But Alistair Stewart was, again, gracious enough. He was my WorldCon proxy in all ways. Co-hosted Ditch Diggers Live with you and wore a T-shirt that said, "I am Matt Wallace" on it.
Yes. All good things.
All good things. I actually, Marguerite, they're so sweet. They apparently got everyone at the con to, like, sign that shirt. And they're sending it back to me with all my Hugo stuff.
Yes.
Which I thought was just such a cool thing. But yeah, I got to listen to the episode because it's posted now. You can go listen to Ditch Diggers Live. The 3rd annual Ditch Diggers Live. Yeah. I might add. The WorldCon tradition. The reason for the season, I dare say at this point. And you both of you did a great show. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it very much. Just like as a fan, I was proud, and it made me really sorry I wasn't there.
I was very grateful to our many guests because, as I believe I just interrupted you saying, Clipping did show up and be on our panel, which was just the biggest thrill in the world. But I wanted them on there because they were Hugo nominees and creative people in their own right. And occasionally we like to talk about people who write other things other than fiction. And so they showed up late because they had their signing, and Clipping includes David Diggs. And if you're a Hamilton fan, you know who that is. So their fan line was full of both Clipping fans and Hamilton fans, so they had a long signing line. So Amal, agreed to stand in because I wasn't sure if the guys could make it or not. So she volunteered as tribute for our Hugo games. And then the clipping guys showed up, so it got a little crowded on stage, but I didn't care because it was fun.
And there was clipping on the show.
Yes, clipping was on the show.
I was really proud of that. That was a great lineup, though. That was a really great lineup of folks. And good stuff, man. It was fun, but I thought it was also really informative. You know, the last 2 years we had done our version of D&D, and this year you switched up and did the Hugo games, which I thought was really brilliant, and I had nothing to do with that. That was all you.
I had very little to do with it either. I believe it was Alistair and I were just sort of brainstorming, and the Hugo games was his idea.
Well, it was a good one. It came out. It provided a nice, fun structure for the show, but then you were also able to get to some really useful and informative things. So that was cool. Yeah, I was proud of that. They were. I wasn't gonna mention this because I don't want to sound petty or like I don't whatever, but I'll say it because we were talking about. I was talking with Nikki and some friends of ours. We were over here following things, and we were talking. I was telling them who we had on the Ditch Diggers Live, and then I was telling them that Teen Jeopardy had George R. R. Martin on their live show, and they were like, "Well, why didn't you guys get like somebody like George R. R. Martin? That would have been amazing." And I was like, "Yeah, that's not cool," but I was just like, and again, this is not me bagging on Teen Jeopardy anyway. And I was just telling them, first of all, I don't feel like the George R. R. Martins of the world need more airtime. Like I feel like they're good. You know, they've kind of had their say. And I was really happy that we were able to get like Clipping and Nava Wolf and Amal and people like that on the podcast who frankly deserve and could use a lot more airtime. You know, I felt it. Yeah. So it's one of the things that makes me really actually proud of this podcast and what we do here. Because I think there's a lot of validity to it. So that made me happy. If I couldn't be there, it made me happy that the show was well represented.
Yes.
And if George, if you're listening, we will have you on anytime you want. I'm not saying, like, if George R. R. Martin wants me on the podcast, we'll have him on the podcast. But
I'm sure he's listening and his feelings are hurt right now.
Yeah, I probably just destroyed. We should just edit all of this out. I burned so many bridges with that. I hope I phrased that in the way that I was trying.
No, you did.
Yeah.
It didn't sound petty to me, and I'm like, I judge everything you say, so.
I know you do, but we really work very hard and intentionally to make the guests on this show people that we need to hear more from and don't hear enough. So I just that it made me happy. The lineup at Ditch Diggers Live made me happy. So yeah, it went as well as it could have without my presence, and that's high praise coming from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could stop talking about Worldcon and talk about other things.
We absolutely could do that. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, and I think this is actually a good opportunity. Unless you had something else you wanted to dovetail off of this, Mur.
No, I had no clever segue. I have a couple things I want to talk about, but if you've got ideas, we can start with yours.
I would love to hear the things that you want to talk about, Mur. Tell me the things you want to talk about.
Well, I had some interesting ditch digging problems upon return. First, I got sick because I finally got the virus that my husband and daughter were carrying around. And so that slowed, after 2 weeks on the road, it slowed me down. I couldn't get right back to work when I got home, and that sucked.
Right.
But also, I Should Be Writing came out.
The book.
Yes.
I Should Be Writing is a book. Like, yes, let's talk about that.
Yes, but it had some problems. And I wasn't entirely sure what was going on, but a lot of people couldn't get the book. And
oh no, I did not hear about this.
We're saying, ships in 1 month, ships in 2 months, and I was kind of freaking out. And I hesitated talking about this, but we talk about all the shit that happens to writers, and this was a thing.
No, this is prime ditch digging material. We haven't got a chance to catch up since the con, so I didn't hear about this. So I
was whining about it to a lot of local people, and I just figured I didn't want to just throw it another person. I need to wind to one more person.
I need to be hooked into the North Carolina grapevine. That's the problem.
Yeah, you do.
I don't have enough ears on the ground in Raleigh.
Yeah.
And I've said that before to many people. It's
You have.
actually I have. So I apologize for that.
I think
it's really
you need to
my
say
fault.
it to people in Raleigh, though.
I should. That's the thing. I say it to people in LA, and they're like, "What is Raleigh and what is North Carolina?" Oh, is that one of those flyover things? Because that's people in LA.
I see.
Anyway, so the book came out, and people couldn't get it.
Yeah. It's I went to my local Barnes and Noble, and they had it as, okay, we can see that it's out, but we can't order it.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, so I was freaking, and my agent was doing her post Worldcon vacation in Europe. So I just started DMing her going, oh God, what do I do? And she, I know some people have very strong-held beliefs that in today's internet age and all the information available to you, you don't need an agent. But at times like this, you fucking need an agent because, I didn't know what to do. I emailed my editor and went, what's up? But, that's just whiny author stuff. So she took care of it on her end, and we found out that first, Barnes & Noble sold through everything they bought. Which is exciting, except I don't know what that number is. So if the number's 10, it's not that exciting.
That's the problem. Yeah.
But I don't know what the number is. But they sold through, and then there was a vendor problem with metadata. So
shit.
There was weird metadata with my book. The databases were confused. So if you had trouble getting the book, I've been assured that this will work itself out soon. But that was an unexpected hiccup, and I came back and was completely ready to start promoting, and then I didn't know how to promote something that everyone told me they couldn't get. Right. So I was feeling a bit impotent there. So it was a stressful time.
So people could still place orders for the book, right? Fulfillment was the issue.
On Amazon.
Yeah.
You couldn't find it on barnesandnoble.com.
Oh, that's messed up. And you couldn't go to the store and pick it up because they didn't have it.
And then my editor sent me a link to Barnes and Noble where they had it, but if you searched for it, you couldn't find it. And I'm like, well, how did you come up with that link if I can't find it? It's just,
right.
You don't realize how something small like metadata. I've always seen it as a useful thing, not a fucking necessary thing for your career.
You might also describe what metadata is for people who don't have any idea what metadata is.
I'm not entirely sure. I know it's like all the little details that, say, you find on the copyright page. So everything you would put in a database. So if you want to look for books by Mur Lafferty, my name is a piece of metadata. Nonfiction writing advice, that would be a piece. Who the publisher is. I'm just spitballing here. I think this is what it is. But I know it has to do with some information about the book that you don't necessarily see on the surface of whatever you're looking at, say an Amazon page, but it's data that they grab from the database to see the book and what it's all about and when it's available and how to get it and blah, blah, blah. That's what I think it means.
Well, here, I actually just have Googled it for the simplest explanation.
Oh, that would have been a good idea for me, too. Let's go back in time and say I did that.
You were vamping while I came up with that. So the most common pieces of metadata about your book are the title, the subtitle, and the author, obviously. The other metadata that will become the other data that will become part of the metadata is the book's ISBN number, the book's format, and the book's publication date.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then you get into metadata and searching, and that's when you get into category description and target audience and things like that. So that's So yeah, that's what Mer means when she refers to the metadata being all fucked up.
Yeah, and I don't know how it was fucked up, but I just know it was fucked up. So, and can I just say something completely off topic that I just realized? We did not mention that we're having recording difficulties. So if the audio is not what you're used to, we're sorry about that.
Yeah, I think that's why we're coming to you from Tobias Funke's sobbing shower.
Well, that was
right?
my losing award.
Oh, okay. I thought it was all the... Oh, after all the shit we went through just to record this episode. Yeah, Skype wouldn't work for anything ever, and then we're on Google Hangouts, and then Mer is just... Because here's the thing. I just show up and I say shit, and then I go away. Mer does everything else, which is not fair, but she has to because I don't know how to do any of it. Mer is just a warrior when it comes to this stuff. I sat here impotent for 20 minutes while she's trying to figure out how to record off of Google Hangouts, and like she couldn't hear her, then she couldn't hear me, and then she couldn't hear either of us, and it was just a whole fucking thing. So Mer went through a lot to bring you the content you're listening to right now, and I think I just wanted to point that out. But yeah, we went through a lot of trouble to record, so if it sounds different, that's why. Also, Tobias Funke sobbing shower is a reference to Arrested Development, which you might not get because even though it's been on Netflix, I still think the defining characteristic of that show is no one's actually seen it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But if you ever see a animated GIF of an adult man standing in a shower sobbing into a washcloth, that is Tobias Funke sobbing in the shower.
Or you have a very specific fetish. Like, we're not here to judge. I'm sure there are entire websites dedicated to middle-aged men sobbing into washcloths in the shower. So.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the never nude thing.
No. I mean, there's that too. This is just such a rabbit hole that has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. I really just wanted to clarify, if anybody was confused about the intro or how the way the audio sounds, that's what those things... That was those things. So we can move on now.
So what did you want to talk about, Matt?
I wanted to talk about expectations, professional expectations.
Okay.
And not in a vague, like generalized, like goal-oriented way. Like, I want to accomplish X, Y, and Z. I'm talking about like concrete things. Like, I have a book that my agent is about to take out. It's a big book. It's a big deal. And the Hugo Awards right before it, and I was nominated for one. And I really would have liked to win that award, to have had that juice when he's taken out the book. Like, that was a professional expectation that I had, you know? Uh-huh. I was in my head, I'm like, the timing is lining up really well. We had good heat last year, even though we didn't make the ballot. You know, this year it seems like we got a lot of heat behind us. I got this new book that's finished and ready, and it's really fucking good. And we're making a big run at all the big publishers, and like everything's just, the stars are aligning here. And I feel like we're going to take this thing, and it's going to be exactly what I need. And we've talked a lot about awards before and the value of them. And I have no illusions about that. I have no illusions that they'll help your book sell incredibly better. But it's not at all unrealistic for my agent to say, I have this author, here's his new book, he just won a Hugo Award, he does all this stuff. Like, that helps. That is a good marketing tool to have in selling a book in the SFF field. So that would have been awesome. That didn't happen. That I didn't get to have that piece of this expectation in this plan I had for the new book. And I had to, when that happened, I had to deal with that. We were talking a little bit. I don't know. Did I talk about it on the show, or did we talk about it before the show? Because I honestly can't remember.
I think it was before.
Yeah. So Mer was asking me before the show, in a candid, we're not recording, just between her and me kind of way. And now that I've said that, I feel like I'm violating some trust, but I feel like it's okay.
Well, I'm the other person here, and I have the editing power. So
yeah, you do.
Just talk.
And I'm not going to say anything you said. You didn't say anything bad. But anyway, Mer was asking me, like, honestly, how did I feel about losing Hugo Award? And I told her the truth was, I honestly don't mind that we lost. I didn't have a lot of disappointment over that. I was really happy that we got nominated. I feel like this is a process. I feel like next year, I fully expect for us to be back on the ballot, and I feel like we'll get even more votes next year, and it'll, we'll get there eventually. So I really do feel okay about that. The one piece of disappointment I had to deal with was, I really wanted the win specifically for the timing of getting ready to take this book out and just having some more artillery, some more ammunition for my agent, another bullet in the gun when he goes to take the book out. And that got me thinking about how fluid a freelance writing career is, and how, it's like that old expression, a plan is just a list of things that don't happen, if you've ever heard that before.
Uh-huh.
And I think that applies so much to freelancing, because you just think, as much as you try to line up gigs and schedule things, and I'm going to do this job to pay this bill, and you should do all that, and that's all important. I feel like that all changes so rapidly. It reconfigures at a moment's notice, and jobs that you counted on don't come through. Sometimes jobs that you did don't pay out on time. It's just you have to manage your professional expectations in such a specific way when you're a freelance creator that I don't think applies to most professions and most people. So
there's an awful lot of adaptation and making decisions on the fly that come into this.
There really are, and it just got me thinking about the last few years and how my perception of what like my next 6 months would look like versus what the next 6 months actually ended up looking like over and over again. And most of that isn't summed up by things that I did. It's summed up by things that I didn't end up doing. Yeah. It's the truth. That sounds fucked up, but it's not. It's part, and that's the other aspect of what I'm getting at here. I spent a lot of time trying to get this one job, writing a book for this production company, and I did a lot of sample chapters and a lot of outlines, and they were feeling what I was doing, and I felt like this was, a couple months process. We're going along real well. The associate editor is telling me, your stuff really reminds me of David Foster Wallace, which, I don't think you can get a bigger compliment from that from somebody like that. So I felt like I was pretty rock solid. So in my planning, I was like, well, it'll be great. I'll get this job, and this will carry me to this next thing. And, you start loosely scheduling in your head based on how you think you're doing. And then I didn't end up getting the job. They ended up going with somebody completely different. So after investing this time and this effort and feeling like I was on board with something, I had to completely change up my game and then factor that out of all my plans and then reassess. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's going to happen. It happens to everybody, no matter what level you're at. Things change, projects fall apart, big projects fall apart all the time, But the important thing really for me is you have to know that that's going to happen. You have to never actually count on anything until the check clears. That has got to be an integral part of your philosophy. And the other thing is you got to learn to not be crushed when these things happen. That is the thing that I still struggle with. I learned the don't count on it until the check clears thing years ago. And fuck Hugo Weaving. And I'm not going to tell that story again, but fuck Hugo Weaving. I learned that lesson years ago. So I know don't count on it until the check clears. So it's not fucking with me on that level. But I still have problems like that job I just talked about with the associate editor. It was like, oh, your stuff reminds me of David Foster Wallace. It really hurt me when they went with another author at the end of that process. Mm-hmm. I'm still not immune to that. That's still a really hard thing for me to accept. And if you stack a few of those in a row, it can really start fucking with you, emotionally and psychologically, and it can actually start influencing your workflow and everything else you're doing. And that's a really subtle trap. That's a more subtle trap to avoid than don't count on the money until the check clears.
What's really hard about this kind of thing is, for me, oftentimes I don't know why I'm reacting to something, or even that I am reacting to something. And that sounds vague and weird, and I will follow up. But you've just got me thinking, I haven't been working on a novel a lot lately. I've been doing a lot of other things, but there's a novel I want to write, and I haven't been working on it. And in talking to you, I'm thinking maybe it's because I've had a project hinted at me for several months now. And it's a project I really, really want.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if I'm definitely not consciously thinking, well, I can't start a novel because this project might come along and take priority. But I'm wondering if that factored into it a little bit. I was talking to my husband about it last night, and he's like, look, just assume you're not going to get it. Because then you'll stop thinking about it, and if you do get it, then hooray, happy surprise. But I hate falling back on something as simple as just lie to yourself, but I think I might have to, because I'm wondering if I got work started on the novel today, actually. I was driving my kid to school, listening to music, and one of the big issues in the book got solved for me during the drive, and I was so excited to come home and start on it. And is it coincidence that it happened right after my husband said, just stop worrying about the thing that probably won't happen and just get back to work? I don't know, but I hate it when I don't know why, or when I don't realize why I'm avoiding something and you have to dig down and figure it out.
No, I don't think it was a coincidence, first of all. I think you hit a really big one on the head just then. And again, that's totally a part of what I'm talking about. And that same thing has happened to me. It's like you get, my agent calls me and it's like, are you interested in doing this? There's an opportunity here. And I'm like, I'm absolutely am. He's okay, I'm going to put you up for it and I'll work on it. You suddenly have that in your head.
Yeah.
And if it's something, especially if it's something you're excited about, or even just something that is going to make you a lot of money, you start thinking towards that and you start sacrificing whatever you're in at the moment. Whether just like you said, like you get in the back of your head, well, I can't start a novel right now because I'm going to have this other thing to do. That's a practical reason. I think an even a less practical reason is you just start going, well, I don't need this thing anymore. I get to do the big shiny thing. And whatever you're doing kind of pales in comparison to that, especially if it's a spec thing. Spec work is always hard. At whatever level you get to, I think, because you never know what's going to happen, with that. And something guaranteed, especially if it's like a property, it's like an established property that you love or something like that. Just the vaguest promise of that can be enough to like just crap on whatever you're doing at the moment.
Yeah,
that's definitely a big part of that, the expectation thing, and that's definitely something you have to be cognizant of and avoid. You really have to be present. You absolutely have to be present, and that's what this fucks with the most. It fucks with you being present in your career and in your writing, thinking about the things you didn't get and thinking about the things that you want but haven't gotten yet. You get caught between those two things. That can be a real, and I struggle with that. And I absolutely know that what you're talking about, Murray. That's such the other side of this. That is a good one. That hit me in the feels.
Yeah, I can take pleasure in that, but the fact that it's not good, I don't. But
I think realization is important.
True.
Like you realize and then you actualize, if that's the right word. It doesn't sound too new agey, but it's the truth. Being aware of this stuff is really important. That's why I describe it as like a subtle trap, because it's one of those things that it's just so subversive. It just happens without you realizing it. The seed gets planted in the back of your head, and then before you know it, you're fucking off the novel you're working on, or you're letting it affect whatever, all the good stuff you have going on. Because we have good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff going on. We're both doing a lot of good stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just you get focused on all the shit you didn't get or all the shit you haven't gotten yet, and you forget about all the good stuff and you don't focus on that. And that can suffer for it. The writing of it, and also like the marketing of stuff that you already have out, or the quality of stuff that you've got coming out. Like you really have to stay present and focus on what you have, because that's what you're going to convert into all that other crap that you're thinking about.
Yeah. And if the stuff happens and the contract gets signed and the deadline gets established, then you can start worrying about reprioritizing everything in your life. But until then, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, writers, I think, freelance creators in general, I think we love to jump the gun on things.
Yeah.
It's just a natural quality that we have. And that can be what we're talking about here with expectation. It can be about, everybody's had the thing where you're working on the thing, but then you get the shiny new idea. And the shiny new idea seems better than this crap that you're working on now. And your brain starts slowly filtering towards the shiny new idea. It's, we love sacrificing the present for a vague future that probably won't materialize. So it's definitely something to be cognizant of, and something that I've just got to work on that, because I tend to judge my career and measure where I'm at too much by, I didn't get all these jobs even though I tried really hard. There are going to be things. There will be other jobs that are not those jobs that I do get, and other things that do succeed. And, that's what you have to focus on.
For some reason, this might be rather silly, but it helps me. Whenever I think about losing an opportunity, I think about, like, the woman who played Ross's ex-wife the first time, and then the kid who played in Arrested Development. They had Anne and Marta both had actresses that never came back.
Right.
And I think, I don't know the situation. Maybe they signed for one episode and then another job came up, so they couldn't continue the role. I mean, I know stuff like that happens, but I also know that sometimes you do a role and you don't click, so they get rid of you.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wonder, it's like, however bad I feel about losing an opportunity, at least I wasn't that woman who was on one episode of Friends and then replaced.
Oh, no. I have dude, it's so weird to bring that up. I have such a huge, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a reverse fetish, because it doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel bad. I love watching original pilots of successful series where the pilot was reshot.
Oh, yeah.
Because they invariably always recast roles in that thing. And I feel so fucking bad for the actors who were in the original pilot and didn't make it to the series, and the series was a big hit. I seek those out because I'm just fascinated by both. I mean, just the process, because that's the thing I do. I write pilots, I try to do TV. But also I have just such a sad, not aversion, the opposite of aversion. But just for those actors who were replaced. And I just feel so bad for them because I know what a shitty thing it is to lose something like that. But then there's also, you look at those actors and a lot of them go on to do other things. And that kind of ties back into what we were talking about before, is even if it's not the thing that you really wanted or the thing you really worked on, there will be another thing.
Yeah.
So it's okay, man. It's all part of it. You have to go through the things that don't work out to find the things that do work out. Now I'm just thinking about all the people that got recast in big television shows. And I'm just it's so sad. It makes me so sad.
I can't even imagine. That's got to be, for all the stuff we say that authors need thick skins, I can't even imagine what actors go through.
Oh no, that's a totally different, and women especially. I have so many friends who are actresses, and the shit they've been through it's so appalling. And they have such a time clock placed on their careers too. Yeah. It's sickening. So it's good to have some perspective. There are people dealing with worse shit than you're dealing with. And as we say that about how hard it is to be a writer or be an actress, a hurricane is ravaging the coast of Texas. So at least we're not there.
Yeah.
I mean, not to get all starving kids in Ethiopia, but there's starving kids in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And perspective, it legitimately is important. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be natural disaster, so nothing I do matters, but keep the job you didn't get in perspective. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really
that helps, dude. Yeah. Thank you.
No, that's my pleasure. That's what I've been thinking about that, and and it's the last few weeks in particular, I've kind of been reassessing and trying to stay focused, because I got a lot of good shit going on right now, and I need to be more present in it, and I need to be more focused on it. I need to not worry about the stuff that didn't pop or might not pop. So that was for me too.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of that. Do you have anything you want to add on top of that, Mer?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool. We have questions. Do we want to get to questions?
Sure.
I think it's probably about that time.
Yeah, I should probably eat lunch at some point. So yeah.
Yeah, and we can't just prattle on forever as much as we'd like to. Because as long as we're talking, we don't have to write.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a couple questions here that are not about Theodore Rex. I'm sorry, I tweeted about this obscure movie and anyway. Mike Headley on Twitter asks, seriously, Matt F. and Wallace, what the fuck should go on an author's website? Mike, your mother reads your Twitter. So that, first of all, this was actually, we should probably do a whole episode about this. We should. But we can answer, we can do a truncated version. I'm guilty of this too. My website needs revamping to include some of these things. But some of the most important big ticket items you should have on your website is samples of your work is a huge one. and one that a lot of authors don't do, surprisingly enough. There should be samples of your work on your website for potential readers and buyers, and also for potential people who would hire you to write things. That is very important. That should segue into you need to let people know where they can find your work. That is also very important. And third big ticket one is, for me, is I think press kit information. Because with the internet, when people talk about you or reference you, or you sell a story or any number of things, they're going to include a photo and bio of you if they can. And if they can't, if they don't have easy access to those materials that have your official approval, a lot of them, sadly, and I say this because I've had this happen to me, will just pull pictures of you from the internet.
Yep.
And they're not always pictures that you want representing you professionally.
Or they'll go to your Wikipedia page if you have one, and it's out of date. So they're talking about your 2 dogs when you put one to sleep 2 years ago.
And then you have to think about that.
Sorry?
And then you have to think about that. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
No, but I sold a short story, and without asking me, they just went to Google Images, and it was a picture of me standing next to a life-size cutout of the Incredible Hulk, mimicking the pose the Hulk was doing.
And this was a short story sale. This was you as a professional author.
Yeah, this was me as a professional author, and that was the photo they used without asking me.
Yeah, but so that's another thing we need to talk about. I should be making notes. We should talk about the author website, but also your press kit and your author photo. Oh my God, we got to talk about that. So I will make notes, and
we'll do this next show. We should do this because we've been waiting to do it for a long time. But yeah, so samples of your work, where they can find your work, your official press kit stuff. And then contact information is very important if you're someone who freelances and you want people to give you professional opportunities. I have all my stuff listed in the sidebar. I have email, Twitter, Facebook, my IMDb page, everything, my Amazon author page, all my relevant shit. And then I have a separate box for how people with professional inquiries can contact my agent, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
So yeah, those would be the big. Am I forgetting anything in the truncated answer, Mar?
I don't think so.
There are a lot of things you can do, like then you get into your blog and everything, and whether you should have one and what kind of. But like we can talk about that more in depthly. But those are big ticket things that every author and every creative writer should have on their website, and that like press kit and samples. I think are two of the things that a lot of people ignore when those are like two of the most vital things. So there you go for that. But we will talk about this topic in more depth in a proper episode. But that's a good question, Mike. You need to watch your fucking mouth, but it was a good question. Shannon on Twitter asks, how do you organize your story files so you don't lose track of any, including abandoned works, future ideas, finished pieces? Hashtag Ditch Diggers. Thank you for using the hashtag,
yes,
Shannon. That's very helpful to me when looking for questions. I appreciate that. So yeah, how do you? Yeah, go for it.
The follow-up I have is: do you mean you, like specifically me and Matt, or do you mean you, like how should one do this if one were a responsible author?
How should competent people do this? If we were competent people, how would we go about doing this?
Look into versioning, which I still don't fully understand because I don't technically do it, but I try to put the date every time I add to a short, like a novel file, I save it under the date. So I'll always have all the past versions. So they pile up, but it's useful to have. I'd say go through all of your blank books that you bought and well-meaning relatives have bought you, lock all of them away except for one, and use that one to collect all thoughts. So when you think, hey, what was I thinking the other day? You go to your one fucking notebook and find it. You don't go looking for the back of your bank statement envelope plus your planner, plus the book you usually write in, plus the tiny little blank book that you keep inside your purse because it's a good size, or the one you bought off Kickstarter that one time by the poor guy whose business went out of business, but you're glad you got yours. Yeah.
There's just so much history.
Yeah. I got a
Loaded
blank
in
book problem. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then
But
you get
seriously,
in.
it's like,
Yeah.
I do lose a lot of shit, and this is what I would do if I were responsible.
And then you get into the thing of like where the notes are too vague. Even if you remember to write it down, you didn't adequately explain what you were doing. So it's basically just like it says something like tuna fish ? And you're supposed to remember what the fuck that means in terms of a story idea. I encounter that a lot. I have a 3-tiered system. Mer, can I explain my 3-tiered system?
Yes, but when you're done, I have to I have to read you the thing I wrote myself that makes no sense.
Oh, absolutely. That would be very quickly. And I say system, this is really just me. It's just evolved from necessity and what I have at hand. So I have the notes in my phone, okay, my iPhone. Then I use notes a lot. Every time I'm out and about and I have either like a story idea or a world building idea or a premise or anything that I might include in any kind of fictional content, I will make a note about it in my phone. And I just do individual notes for every single idea. So I can scroll back and see the first few words of each idea. That's my first tier. My second tier is my notebooks, which I have at home around my work area. And I use legal pads or composition notebooks if I get a good deal on those. Doesn't matter. I still like handwriting. And that's where I'll have more detailed, my version of outlines, which is really just me writing, figuring out the names of everything, writing a lot of names down and crossing them out. You'd think I've had like 8 kids if you looked at my notebooks. Because it's just me figuring out what to call people. Because I fucking hate that part of this job.
Me too.
So I have my notebook. Then, if something really solidifies and I'm like really fucking on point, like I'm just having a week where I'm on top of shit, I do have folders on my computer where I keep detailed things about different ideas, and I'll have them divided from like novel ideas. I have one for short story ideas. I have one for pilot ideas. And I have one for feature screenplay ideas, and I keep that all relatively organized in my computer in separate folders. So that's my 3-tiered approach to all that. And then like more for files, I date everything because otherwise it would just be chaos. That's the easiest way for me to manage it. People like spreadsheets and all kinds of different shit, and that's fine. I don't know how to use them, and I don't want to learn because I'm lazy. So I just date every version of everything. So I know exactly what's new and when this was in the series and blah, blah, blah. Mer, read me the thing that you can't make sense of. We can reconstruct this.
Well, no, I mean, I know what happened. It was the dog woke me up the other night, and I was having a very strange dream, and I thought, I really want to remember this. And of course, now that there's daylight, I think, what the fuck was I thinking? But the line is, excuse me, will you check this for me, as I fear the bridge we're on has just gone talking cat length.
All right. That's special.
Yeah. And I think I was dreaming something Totoro-like, where the cat bus had turned into a bridge. The bridge we're standing on turned into, like, the cat bus from Totoro. Also, it talked.
Has just gone talking cat length.
Yes, but the person who was asking me this was very concerned.
Right.
So I guess not everybody had noticed.
So are we classifying that under ideas that sounded good when you were half asleep or dreamed it or whatever? Yeah, that's a whole other category. That's not that. See, like vague notes that don't explain the idea are one category. You'll have a whole other category of notes you leave yourself that literally don't make any sense, no matter how in-depthly you describe them.
Yeah.
Because they're nonsensical. I've done that plenty. I've had dreams where I thought I dreamt like an amazing story, and I woke up and I thought, oh shit, I got to write all that down. I think one time I was basically just reimagining the episode of The Simpsons where they beat the snakes out of the bushes. Is that The Simpsons?
I don't know. I haven't seen every episode since it started when I was 16.
It's like snake bashing day. Mm-hmm. Everybody buys it. I think it is The Simpsons. That literally happened, though. I had this dream where I had this idea, and I think I was making a movie with like John Landis or somebody, and that was the story for the movie. And I woke up, and all I had was the feeling that I'd had in the dream of, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I had that feeling. So I wasn't thinking about the idea. I was just thinking about the feeling that I had attached to it in the dream. Then when I actually started writing it out, I went, my God, this is that episode of The Simpsons where they beat the shit out of the snakes. So that's a totally other category, and really has nothing to do with your question, Shannon. But I hope that we gave you something that was relatively useful in there.
Yeah.
The really honest short answer to that is all writers' lives are chaos, and there's no right or wrong way to do any of that.
Do what best works for you.
I don't trust super organized writers. I'll say it.
Okay.
Something wrong with those people.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. It's a conspiracy. I think those are all the Twitter questions that we have. Do we have any email questions that are on the...
I am checking.
On the thing? I know words.
You do. You know the words.
I know the words. You are the words. But I know the words. Because I know you.
Whoa.
That would be like our cutesy his and hers t-shirts if we had them. Yours would say I am the words, and mine would say I know the words. And then we'd have a picture taken in those shirts and no one would ever talk to us again. And they'd be right to do it.
Yeah.
Mura's not listening to anything I'm saying right now.
I am too.
Actually, she is. She's just filed it under Matt is saying a bunch of bullshit that I don't need to pay attention to.
Matt is vamping while I look up thing. Yes, we have one good question.
We have one good, and we have all the bad questions, which we won't answer, but we will mock mercilessly after Mur reads the one good question. Read the one good question.
Hang on. Sorry. It's one of those things where I can take the four...
Do you want me to tell a joke?
No, I got it. So, Dharma has written me about sensitivity reading. And
right.
Dharma is invited to... has been invited to do sensitivity readings of manuscripts.
Right.
She didn't say how much detail to go into on the show, so I won't. But essentially the question is, should I charge for this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You're working, you should get paid.
You're working, but also it's, you're reading something that could, you're reading it because the work may hurt someone like you. And if the author fails, then I believe the common term is being punched in the face. That's what a lot of people say when they read poorly written things that don't take different readers into mind. Help me out here, Matt. I'm fumbling a lot.
No, I thought you were doing fine, honestly. You're describing reasons why there should be sensitivity readers, though.
Yes. But the sensitivity readers that offer their work to see, did I write a person of color with reality and sensitivity instead of just going, here's a stereotypical black dude from the hood in Chicago.
Which I've never been to, by the way.
If I do write a horrible stereotypical black dude from the hood in Chicago,
where I've never been,
the person reading that is going to be experiencing the irritation that any reader of color would be experiencing. But it's their job to do that. So it's your job to offer to be punched in the face. Right. So you should definitely get paid for that.
I mean, that's absolutely valid, and everything you said is true. Even if you read it and it's done flawlessly, you're still working and you should still get paid. Oh,
yeah, you don't charge if they offend you. You charge regardless.
Yeah, that's all. It's a really, it's the semantics at this point, but I feel like on a base level, whatever the reason is to do it, you are doing a form of editing and you should be paid because you are working. But everything...
You would be charging if you were looking for comma splices and grammar mistakes.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And we're not even going to deal with should there be sensitivity readers or shouldn't there be, because yes, there should be. And that's just, I don't want to fucking I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm tired of acknowledging stupid arguments just because enough people make them. Yes, there should be sensitivity readers, and they should get paid. So there you go.
I'm not sure who you're railing at here, but I feel you, man.
That's a thing.
No, I know. I'm just saying that you sound like you're arguing with me.
Dude. That was not directed. I think I said we in there. Like, I didn't mean to speak for you. I assumed you would be on the same page.
I'm all for it. I'm trying to be amusing and failing miserably, but
you're fine,
it is definitely a tired argument, and it's one of those things where people keep bringing it up. And I think you can probably find information online of why there should be sensitivity readers. Google that question before you ask people who have had to answer it many times. So the other question is, how much should I charge for sensitivity reading?
That is a very good question.
Hang on a sec. I'm on Slack with somebody who does sensitivity reading. I'm going to ask her. You vamp, or we'll cut this out or something.
Oh, can I tell my joke?
Yep.
Oh, I'm totally going to tell my joke. Okay, so I heard this the other day. It's an old joke, but I had never heard it before. It was very funny. So a cop pulls this guy over on the freeway because he's swerving a little, and the cop thinks he might have been drinking. And he goes up to the guy's window. The guy rolls down the window. He's like, "Sir, I think you might have been having a few tonight, so I'm going to need you to blow into this breathalyzer for me." And the guy says, "Well, officer, I can't do that. I'm asthmatic. If I blow into that breathalyzer, it could bring on a really bad asthma attack." Cop goes, "Well, all right, then I'm going to have to haul you down to the station. You're going to have to give me a blood sample." The guy's like, "Well, officer, I can't do that either. I'm a hemophiliac, and if you prick me open, I start bleeding. I could bleed to death." The officer's like, "Okay, well, then I'm going to need a urine sample from you." The guy's like, "Well, officer, I can't do that either. I'm a diabetic, and if I give you a urine sample, my blood sugar could drop. I could go into a diabetic coma and die. It's a whole thing." The officer's like, "Well, oh, fine then. Get out of this car and walk this white line for me." The guy's like, "Well, officer, I can't do that either." And the cop's like, "Why not?" And the guy goes, "I'm drunk as hell." I like that one.
Nice.
Because it does what all good comedy should do. It subverts your expectation. And I believe that.
Yes.
And I don't feel it's making light of drunk driving because the guy got caught. And he actually, after he says that, the cop takes him to jail and he loses his car. The consequences are dire, and they should be.
Wow, this joke has a long narrative epilogue.
It does. Did you figure out whatever the hell it was you were trying to figure out before I told my hilarious joke?
No. I'm working on it. I'm trying to do something and you're telling a joke. It's distracting.
I was vamping. You told me to vamp. I'm actually really excited I got to tell that joke, though. I like that joke. It's a good joke. I think it's a good comedy lesson. Again, it subverts expectation. That's what good comedy should do. I mean, we can talk about freelance editing charges, and then we can get somebody who knows more than us eventually to do a more in-depth episode about sensitivity readers, which we should do anyway.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get a friend of mine on to talk about stuff like that anyway.
Yeah. So let's do that.
Okay.
But I mean, if you're editing, I know people who charge, you can either charge hourly, you can charge by the page, proofreaders charge by the word most of the time, I think. Depending on your experience as an editor, you could get from anywhere between $20 to $50 an hour to hire to that. I think like a beginning editor is more like on the $20 an hour side. This is from my understanding of it. If I'm wrong, someone can absolutely correct us.
Right.
And then manuscript doctoring, which I've done, and I know people who've done it, you can charge between $2 and $3 a page. I used to charge $2 a page, but that was because I'm not like a famous author or anything.
Okay, I'm her. She responded immediately and just said $250. I literally just finished a sensitivity read and working on the edit letter today. So
she says $250 flat for the sensitivity read?
Yeah, I think so. I'm following up, but.
You know, yeah. If she could say if she could tell us the size of the project.
Yeah, she said the whole book.
So the whole book,
including 2 passes.
So 2 passes, 250 to 300 page book. You figure average.
Yeah.
2 passes on that size book, $250 flat. That sounds incredibly reasonable to me.
She says short stories and novellas are cheaper, obviously.
Right. Well, I wonder. Then my only question is that typically standard? I know it's a newer practice, but is that fairly standard for it? Does she know
Yeah.
other people who charge that?
She
Okay,
just
cool.
said that, yeah.
Cool. Well, then we got an answer from someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, this is, I'm going to mangle her last name because I've never actually heard it said aloud, even though I've chatted with her a lot online. This is Elsa Judson Henry. I'm very sorry, Elsa. I want to get her on the show. She's a writer and disability activist and
Oh, yeah, I know Elsa
editor.
from Twitter, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Elsa.
So,
She's great.
Elsa's answering all my questions real fast right now. So thank you,
Yeah.
Elsa, and we're going to get her on the show because I want to talk to her about all of her awesome stuff.
Yeah. Please do tell her that in the chat too, that we will actually have her on the show,
I did.
so she can get the publicity she deserves off of her efforts. So that's cool. So $250 for 2 passes on an average length novel.
Yes.
Is what we're saying. Okay, then that would be the answer to the question.
Yep.
Cool. That was a good question. We had some really good questions and stuff we will go more into depth on author websites, and we will go more in depth on sensitivity readers on future episodes of Ditch Diggers.
Yes, we will.
And it'll be exciting. Exciting times. Next year we're going to win that Hugo, Mer.
We are. We're going to win that Hugo, and we're going to be together in San Jose.
We are, because it's just down the road, so I can drive.
That's right. I'm not going to drive.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't drive, because, again, you live in one of those flyover states.
Not really.
According to vapid people in L.A.
Oh, well.
But then that's not even true, because Wilmington is in North Carolina, and they film a lot of stuff in Wilmington. Wilmington's like the Hollywood of the...
It used to be until our previous governor got rid of all the tax breaks for
that's right. That did happen. I was a big One Tree Hill fan.
Yeah.
I hated the show, but I knew a lot of people who were on it, so I was a big fan of it as an employment opportunity. I knew so many people on One Tree Hill. It's really weird to think about right now. Anyway, so yeah, all those things. I think we've talked enough, Mer.
I think so. I should, by the time this goes up, I should have a new website, merverse.com, and it will have its own Ditch Diggers section that's easy to get to.
Exciting.
And you can email me at mightymur@gmail.com. I have 2 books out now. I have a nonfiction book called I Should Be Writing. And, if everybody goes and buys that, Matt and I may be able to do a Ditch Digger book to follow it up. There's no contract, there's no promise, and we just talked about expectations. I'm just saying.
No, that had a good symmetry with the subject of the show.
Yeah.
I would love to do a Ditch Diggers book. I think that'd be fun as hell. I think it'd be a great book.
Yeah. So, let's see, what are all the things? So, I Should Be Writing and 6 Wakes are both out. You should be able to find them online most places. I've been told the I Should Be Writing ebook should be out soon. And, if you want to check out some awesome free short science fiction, go to escapepod.org, where I am the co-editor and I pick awesome short stories to bring you weekly. And I got another podcast called I Should Be Writing that's out on the opposite weeks. Oh, here's the big news. I revamped our Patreon. So, and I totally did this without talking to you, so, I'm putting you on the spot here. It's great. If we get to a certain level, and I think that's $3,000 a month, I'm going to take, hopefully, I Should Be Writing a Ditch Diggers to weekly. So we'll be doing Ditch Diggers a week. Would you do that for more money, Matt?
I will absolutely do that for more money.
So that's our... And some of the other stuff I'm going to be starting a serial fiction online. You can get advanced reader's copies of my books signed at certain levels, and dog pictures, because I hear those are popular.
And dog pictures.
I
hear people on the internet like that. I hear that's
not as much as cat pictures, but I don't care.
Cats are evil and they steal your breath in your sleep. That's science. That's a fact.
It is. So I think that's all the things I'm supposed to talk about. I've lost my note because I wrote it on a piece of paper instead of in one of my handy books. So, you go, Matt.
Oh God. Yes, promotion. I write books, Mer. I write a lot of books. I write the Sin du Jour series, the Sin du Jour series from Tor.com Publishing. We are 5 books into the series. The current one is Greedy Pigs. Greedy Pigs? Greedy Pigs. And the next one, Gluttony Bay, the penultimate book in the series, is coming out in November. And then I'll be wrapping up the series next year with Taste of Wrath. So if you haven't yet checked out the Sin du Jour series, the first book is Envy of Angels. Please go back and start at the beginning and buy and read all of them in paperback if you can, because I make more money. My other novella series that I kicked off last year is Rencor, Life in Grudge City. It's a lucha buddy cop, action, comedy, drama, supernatural, all kinds of good shit in there that I'm very proud of and I love. I was a pro wrestler for 10 years, so it's very personal for me. You can find that on Amazon for Kindle and in paperback from Parts Unknown Publishing. And as Mer just mentioned, we have a Patreon, and you should go support it, because if we get up to $3,000, this show goes weekly. And that means more Mer and more Matt in your ears.
That's right.
Every month, and everybody needs that.
More
Everybody
Morgan
needs
Freeman. We will continue to build his manor.
We will.
His
and
compound.
I also will continue. We should get the blue pens drawn up sometime and sell them as a poster. That would be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
It would make no sense. It would be like Castles of Mad King Ludwig. It would make no sense. The other thing I wanted to say is I wanted to thank everybody, and I'm sure Mer does too, who voted for us for the Hugo.
Yes.
Though we did not take it, we could not appreciate you more. We hope you'll continue to support the show. It meant so much to us to make it so far and to have that experience, even though I wasn't there. I lived vicariously through Mer, and it was great. So thank you. Thank you, everybody listening, everybody who did that. We really appreciate it.
You still have the experience of being nominated. You got the pin. You will be in the history books for as long as history lives.
It's true.
As
The pin is coming.
nominee finalist.
Next time we record, hopefully, I will be wearing the pin because I'm going to wear it everywhere. I don't know if I get the chocolate bar. I don't know if they're mailing that because maybe they ate it. I don't know what they did with it. But
I haven't eaten mine yet. I don't know what to do with it.
You brought it back? You brought it back from
Yeah,
the
I brought it back.
I don't know. Chocolate is a fragile thing. I didn't know, so I don't know.
I mean, it's a pretty thick bar.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I'll eat it. I know. Even if I get it, I'll just eat it. So yes, the original point. I don't know what the hell happened there.
I don't know.
The original point was thank you to everyone who supported us.
I think that's what it was. Thank you very much.
And everyone who listens to the show. For the love of God, end the show, Mark. End it now.
End it now. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks unless you guys donate a hell of a lot of money in a short amount of time. And we'll talk to you then. And we're going to start bringing back interviews because I've got a lot of people who are waiting to hear back from me because apparently we're really popular all of a sudden. But thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. You can support us at patreon.com/mightymur.
Ditch Diggers!
Theme song by Devo Spice, devospice.com.